start our study session. All right, don't make me clap once. All right, can you hear me clap once? All righty. All righty. I have number 8, and I will know by Monday if they're ready. Councilor Caldwell.
Thank you, Madam President. Blessings to everyone here. I have items 9 through 13. 9 and 10 will be withdrawn. I think we're all set. If anybody has any questions.
What, could I
You have
just,
questions? Yeah.
Commissioner, why are 9 and 10 being withdrawn? Is it,
Councilor Hogan, Tony Williams, Commissioner of Parks and Rec. We're withdrawing 9 and 10. We're going to submit those for next council session.
we're still going to go ahead with?
We're still going ahead. Those will be
Just gotta
resubmitted
fill-
for next.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Commissioner, just one. Commissioner, when you
Yes.
submit it, can you contact me because you might could just do it in one letter? So can you just contact me instead of?
Absolutely. Apologies for that.
No,
We
that's
kind of
okay.
just found the funds in the budget.
Okay.
Oh, we're good, Tom. Commissioner, we're all set.
We have 11, 12, and 13 as well.
Yeah, but we're all set. No one has any questions.
Okay,
We're
move
good.
on.
Huh?
No, no, you
Oh, no
better
questions?
sit it down
You're
while
good.
ahead.
No, I'm saying we're good. Thank
Oh, you guys
I'm
let me
sorry.
off easy today. Have a
Yeah,
good day.
you're. Thanks. Thanks, Commissioner.
All right, you're good, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam
Councilor
President.
Green.
Thank you, Madam President. Items 14, 15, and 16 relate to a legal settlement, which we'll discuss in executive session, and 17. So we'll go right to 18.
Good afternoon, councilors. Matt Oj, Commissioner of Assessment, seeking one change to the current assessment role. This is May Memorial Church has had a partial exemption, seeking to change that to a full exemption. Full exemption was applied for last year. There's a tenant in the building, some discrepancy about the character of that tenant, but we're now satisfied that it deserves a full exemption.
Any questions? Thanks, Commissioner. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Gathers.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 19 and 20. Just going to speak on 19.
Hello, Rich DeVesti, Fleet Director. 19 is just the cost of vehicles have gone up. So originally we were going for 35, it just is a couple $1,000s more. So not much of a change, just the cost increase. Vehicles are hard to come by these days, now that we're just getting over the strikes.
Questions? Thank you. Number 20.
Afternoon, councilors. John Kivelin, Department of Engineering. Item number 20 is to approve participation in the CNY Stormwater Coalition Staff Services Program for an amount of $3,600.
Any questions? Thank you, Madam President. I'm all set.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Hudson. I have items 20, 21. And Commissioner, if you just flesh this out a little bit. We're another $500,000 to address 6 more properties.
Correct, Councilor. Michael Collins, Commissioner, Neighborhood and Business Development. A couple weeks ago, New York State Housing Community Renewal called on a Monday and said we would like to give home headquarters an additional $500,000 to address 6 more properties of the Syracuse Model Neighborhood Corporation properties that many of you will recall they took over at the city's request when Syracuse Model Neighborhood Corporation failed. This would allow them to be able to do more improvements to those properties. So they called and said, hey, I know it's Monday, but you need to send us a letter by Friday requesting an extra $500,000 and an extension of the contract to the end of June. And that seemed like a pretty obvious yes on our end.
Any questions?
Are these the ones on Salina?
I have the addresses in front of me.
I'm looking at them, and maybe I'm looking too hard.
So let's see. None on Salina. So 622 Gifford, 542, 544 Cortland. Those would both be demolished. And then rehabilitation would happen at 107 Hobart, 118 Kirk, 250 to 52 West Kennedy, and 142 to 144 West Lafayette.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, we're ready on that.
All right, thank you, Counselor. Counselor Green for Counselor Majok.
Thank you, Madam President. We'll start with 22, fire.
Good afternoon, Council. Rick Hisselstein, Executive Deputy Fire. This is for our medical director for our EMS. This is to amend it to 18,000. This has been 12,000 for probably a couple of decades. And the work that we're asking him to do is considerably more. He also wanted to add an additional doctor to follow in his footsteps, so there's a more smooth transition next time we need another medical director.
How often do we change? Because I know our other medical director had been around for a while.
When they retire, that's pretty much, he was our director for 25, at least 25 years. He retired, and that's where we got Dr. Holliday. And he noticed there was a difficulty in transition, so he thought it'd be better to have someone right along next to him.
Okay.
Other questions on 22? Okay, thank you. 20.
Good afternoon, Councilors. Rich Shaw, First Deputy Chief of Police. Item 23 is request for permission to start spending of previously approved funds for the budget for neighborhood watch groups, $72,000.
Any questions on this? Okay,
24 is requesting authorization to extend our MOU that we have currently with the school district to be reimbursed for the cost of supplying 6 SROs and 1 supervisor and staff and security at some of their overtime details, which is spelled out in the MOA.
School district's already approved this?
School district has approved it. You should have a copy of it. It should have been supplied with their board's resolution.
And does this cover all our costs, or is there still fringe we cover? How does that work? Perfect.
Very good.
Any other questions?
In the legislation, Chief, it says, but no more than 10. So is it like a flexible thing from 6 to 10 or what? How's that work?
Currently, we have 6, but we could go up to 10. We just don't have the bodies for it right now.
Okay, so it's on a list basis as far as overtime goes. Okay.
We have to supply at least 6.
When the, for the SROs, when they're, if somebody gets called in sick or something like that, if they're out of work for some reason, are they replaced by somebody else, or how does that work?
I'm not 100% sure. I know when I ran it, that's exactly what I did.
Okay.
I can find out for you if you want me to.
Thank you.
I'll email that out.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, totally fine.
Any other questions on the SROs? Okay, thanks, Chief.
All righty,
It's still me, sorry. I'm taking out Counselor Allen.
Yeah,
too, so.
Counselor Green for Counselor Allen.
Item 25.
Good afternoon, Councilors. Janet Burke, the Director of Research. This application and agreement is with the Onondaga County with their public arts program. And we, as a municipality, would like to apply to have 2 more murals designed and completed in the city to complete our city as canvas, or continue the city as canvas that we started earlier this year.
I apologize. Do you know where the locations?
So that's going to be voted on. There's going to be out a call for people that would like to where they're going to be and what the design will be. It's all going to be done with the community.
Other questions?
Great, thank you.
Thank you. 26.
Good afternoon, Council. Jake Dishaw, Deputy Commissioner of Code Enforcement and Zoning Administration. Item number 26 is seeking approval to contract with 6 demolition firms to be permitted to send in quotes for blighted structures on behalf of the Division of Code Enforcement when we have court orders or emergency demolition declarations. 4 of the 6 were on our previous list, so there's 2 new firms that were added. And this was the result of an RFQ process.
Questions on this one?
So Jake, let me ask you this. When you talk about the 6 firms, what's the diversity in it?
So we worked alongside with budget. The 2 that are new, we've never had before, at least to my knowledge. But there is a certain amount of work that we will make them contract out, and we're working closely with budget with Tim and Teresa and everybody to make sure when we're receiving those bids that they're using diverse subcontractors underneath their quote overall.
Oh, for those 6, there is no diversity.
I don't remember. Tim Rudd, Budget Director, Procurement Director. I think we have a file with the EEO forms that would describe their diversity, so I can share that. And we're right around the threshold of the demos, so it's above 50,000 that our equity goals start to hit. So to the extent, basically everyone who applied, we hire, and then they have to bid on individual projects. To the extent the bids come back under 50, the goals won't apply. To the extent they do come back over 50, they will apply. So then that's when they would have subcontracting goals. And I don't think any of them were M or W that are of the 6, but I'll double check that too.
They weren't MW or MWB, they weren't either one.
I don't think any of the 6 were minority or woman owned.
But we will ensure that they do have to fit the MWB requirements, right?
So if they got a project for 100,000 or above 50, they would have to then go through our good faith process to subcontract 30% of the work.
I need to open up demo.
Council President, I just wanted to ask Hogan, I'm sorry, Jake, if y'all finished with that one?
I'm good with it.
Thanks.
Okay. Hogan, do you want me to ask for an appendix with those 6 properties on it for 21 to be part of the ordinance?
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
The
Sorry,
6
City Clerk.
For the amendment for 21?
Yeah,
for
we
those
could put them in there.
Do you want the appendix with the 6 properties?
Sure.
Okay. I'll ask for that, Mike. Okay.
And before we move on, Commissioner Williams, there's a question for you. Come on down.
And, Mr. Lowe, I apologize, I sort of went past it, but let's bring you guys back up. Yes, about this wonderful, my favorite neighbors that don't pay any rent. They just live there, no taxes or anything. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't realize.
Tony Williams, Commissioner of Parks and Rec. Items 11, 12, and 13 are our yearly business items for our deer management program. Councilors, do you have any questions?
We just want to know if it's, my apologies, we sort of went past it because I figured it was the same, but I see there's some new information. So let's talk.
Good afternoon, Greg Lowe, Chief Policy Officer in the Mayor's Office, and have been the team member working with Parks Department on the tick and deer management program. Notable for the council is we are planning to pursue another season this year, as we have communicated to the council before, of tick and deer management work. Specifically, we will continue to use the deer removal method with firearms consistent with New York State DEC requirements. In the packet that I left with each of you, and if anyone in the room wants a copy, I can provide it to you. Just see me. It does provide a recap of the results of last season's work to remove or cull deer in the city. It was a total last year of 79 deer, which is down from about 90 the previous year. The breakdown shows you that in the northwestern part of the city, 16 deer, southwestern part of the city, 34, and in the southeast, which is the area that comprises what we believe is the largest population of deer in the city, it was about 29. What's important to note is that the reductions in removal does not necessarily mean citywide that there is a reduction in deer population. In fact, what we hear through our tracking methods and what we see is continued significant overpopulation, particularly in that southeast quadrant, particularly in the eastern suburbs. So, Councilor Caldwell, it doesn't surprise me that you have some additional residents in your neighborhood, and particularly where you are. So important, here's what I think you really want to know about going forward. It is anticipated that Governor Hochul will sign, and I say we are, let me rephrase that. We are awaiting the governor's signature on legislation approved by the Senate and Assembly, sponsored by Assembly Member Hunter and Senator May, that will allow us to conduct deer removal activities in more areas in the city, specifically in areas of the east side where we have a continuing problem with overpopulation. That legislation, you remember, we've talked before at the council. You actually, as a council, passed a resolution in support of action on this matter, will allow the city to conduct deer removal within 250 feet of an occupied dwelling using a certified wildlife manager. That's different. The current requirement says to get inside 500 feet, we need permission from every property owner within that 500-foot area. That has proved to be something that is not possible to gain 100% participation from all property owners. At 250 feet, we have already, anticipating the governor's signature, done significant planning to identify additional sites with a primary focus in this first year, if the legislation is signed, of east side neighborhoods where the population we know is highest. So, assuming the legislation is approved or signed, we expect to be able to add those sites in January, February, and March, which is still a significant part of the upcoming season. It's the last 3 months of the upcoming season. And we have recommended to the council a budget that will anticipate an increase in removals, so we have that funding available assuming the legislation is signed. Hope that was clear.
No, it was good.
Yeah.
And if it's not signed, what happens?
Well, we'll have another season where we will not be as successful at reducing the population in overpopulated areas, and we will then need to do two things. We would go back to the drawing board on another legislative solution, or come back to the council next summer with a proposal for introducing other methods that are allowed. The other method is a trapping method that we have not considered implemented to date. Our Tick and Deer Management Advisory Group has not believed that trapping is the right next step. But I think that group would say to us that they think it is if we're unable to achieve a reduction in the setback.
So I appreciate this, and I wanted to make sure we got the information out.
Yeah.
I think they're beautiful, but they're really like,
So they hit you.
they multiply.
Yes.
Like, really, I have like 10 in my yard.
And that's the problem we're seeing
Every
on the
night.
east side right now, is that because we have not been able to begin reducing the population, we're seeing the impacts of overabundance and multiplication. I do believe that based on the planning we've done thus far, that with the new legislation, we will be able to identify additional locations.
Thank you.
I believe also, although it appears not to be in the packet, I will send to you, Counselor, we have also, the Parks Department has, per your request, introduced signage in the parks locations, 11 different signs at parks, which provide education on tick-borne illness prevention.
Great, thank you. And you know what I didn't mention, but if that is the case, through Berry Park, Comstock, Westcott, if we could put signs where we know there's a lot of deers, like in that, because that's a major community as a walk, you know.
Tony and I will check the list, but I
Yeah.
think Barry is one of the parks we
Yeah.
have covered. I think it's a sample photo that I can send to you.
Yep. And is this going on the website?
Yes, I'll post this on the website. We have a deer, at sierragov.net, there's a deer management page, and so we'll have that information there.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
Greg, do you need anything from us as far as to our state representatives regarding this issue?
Oh, thank you, Counselor. I think it'd be a good idea that the counselor could send a letter to the governor urging signature, and I can work with any combination of you, perhaps through the clerk, make sure you have the information needed to be able to do that.
Maybe some pictures of
Oh, I can do a whole
Councilor
video.
back.
We got lots of those.
Video and backyard.
But I do think, thank you.
Whose committee is that? Yours?
The legislative process at the state requires or asks of the mayor to send such a letter. He did that. But now, while we're still waiting for signature, I think a letter from the council would be really helpful.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Question, it's sort of a funny question, but I just think I've observed something with the deers, because I talk to them all the time, because they're not scared anymore.
No,
They're
they
like,
aren't.
I live here too, that's what they told me. So have you, when they're doing a study, have they seen any difference in them? They're looking different. They're habitating with something else now. They're not just
Are they bigger?
different looking. Like they look different. Like, so we need to figure out what's going on.
That's a
Deers
question.
is-
I will ask ESF about that question.
No,
because
seriously, like-
I had not heard that.
No, they're looking different. I'm serious. I'm like,
Yeah.
not looking like the deer. They're changing. So we better check that
Wow.
out. Have a deer and a fox. They created
That's a new one.
some other animal. Thank you.
Thank you all.
We just did our, what they call it, comedy club. What? Need a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great day.
Great. So much 20 minutes. Should I stay here? Look at me, I still have my hair wet from the shower.
But you smell good.
I did too much partying last night.
I was in my bed. I'm acting up on
I have people in the house. She wants to talk to you.
Deer, just like anybody that lives in that area all has deer, like the deers out.